Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Knudsen. I'm an attorney, and part of my practice focuses on issues of civil rights and constitutional law. Today, we're going to talk about what is happening at the Department of Education. It seems that the Trump administration is intent on signing an executive order that would purport to terminate the entire Department of Education and any and all of its functions and any and all of the funds that it administers and any and all staff or other persons that work at the organization, basically terminating everything that the Department of Education does. We're going to talk about that today. There's been a lot of commentary in the media over the last couple of weeks about this expected decision and about what that decision means. And a lot of that commentary has been nonsense. There's been a lot of misinformation, half-truth, and lies in the mainstream media and also on social media, obviously on social media, about what the Trump administration can legally do under the Constitution and laws and federal law. So we're going to talk about that today. This is a good case study in what is happening across the federal executive, the federal government right now, because the Trump administration has made its intentions very clear. They have hired an outside third party essentially to run the Office of Personnel Management and to send out emails and otherwise harass or pressure federal workers in various departments and agencies across the federal government, pressure and harass them into resigning. And the Trump administration has taken aim at U.S. aid and other specific agencies in the federal government as well. They have fired staff at USAID. They've fired most of the staff at USAID, and they've attempted to terminate any of the programs that it oversees. This is wrapped up in litigation now, and I think we will probably see this get up to a higher court in the coming days. But the Department of Education issue is a good case study for what's going on across the federal government right now, because the Trump administration seems to believe that it has the constitutional authority to unilaterally terminate or abolish federal agencies. They are getting very close to the line of doing that, and it seems that this executive order regarding the Department of Education may actually state or direct that the Secretary of the Department of Education terminate the agency, meaning that she discontinue all of its operations, fire all of its staff, and otherwise terminate any and all of the funding that it administers. So this is wildly unconstitutional and illegal for the following reasons. The first reason is that the Department of Education, most of its functions are governed by statute, meaning that Congress, by vote, created the Department of Education, created the statutory framework that set up the Department of Education, created the funding streams for the Department of Education, and otherwise directed the executive to implement the statute. The Congress, under our constitutional system, has the power of lawmaking. Generally, the power of lawmaking, the power to make statutes, the power to follow the public interest. The theory behind this is that Congress, as a legislative body, the only legislative body in the federal government, the second branch of government, that it is closest to the people, and that it can hear their concerns and make law that is in their interests. So Congress passed laws creating the Department of Education and creating a number of programs such as Pell Grants and student aid, federal subsidized, unsubsidized loans, plus loans. All these programs are administered by the Department of Education, and you also have funding for low-income schools that comes to the Department of Education. You also have funding for students with disabilities, individual per capita funding for students with disabilities. You have investigative functions to investigate violations of the civil rights laws at schools that receive federal funding. So the Department of Education does a lot of things, and most of those things are governed by statutes that Congress has passed, and those things are done with money that Congress has appropriated. Congress has the power to make law, and it also has the power to, the power of the purse, the power to distribute monies. The executive seems to be testing this constitutional order. They want to unilaterally terminate or abolish the Department of Education and other federal agencies. They can't do that. If they were to sign an executive order, if the president was to sign an executive order that purported to do that, that would immediately be wrapped up in a court challenge. I think part of the reason that you're seeing so many attempts by the administration to terminate federal agencies and otherwise to slash staff and to terminate funding streams and other things that Congress has appropriated and specifically stated the executive has to do. The reason that they're doing so much of this at the same time is to try to overwhelm the system so that you have so many court challenges in the system, and it takes so long for these court challenges to get to an appeals court or get up to the Supreme Court, that by the time that the challenges actually make their way through the court system, they have pressured, intimidated, or just made life very hard for federal workers at these agencies, so half of the agency is already left by them. And then the courts will tell them that what they're doing is unconstitutional or illegal, and they may follow the order, they may not follow the order. So I think that's the strategy behind this. So to sum all this up, the Trump administration is expected to sign an executive order that would abolish the Department of Education in the next couple of days. The executive order might direct the Secretary of Education to terminate the department. That would be illegal and unconstitutional. It wouldn't immediately be set up for a court challenge and probably would be stopped on temporary injunction. But the order could also have language that says that the director should take any and all steps that are necessary, any and all steps that are lawful, to terminate the department. So if that's the case, then the Secretary of Education would go through a process, probably, to figure out what standalone statutes, what statutory framework actually requires the existence of the department, and what they can do within that statutory framework to break it down, because they want to break down this department. This affects millions of people. The student loan issue, the Pell Grant issue, and the funding for education issue are huge. The Department of Education administers $1 trillion in student loan aid, past and present. And so if their functions were to be unilaterally terminated or to be broken or to have half of the staff leave, that would present a huge problem for everyone that has ever had student loans, that is currently paying student loans, or that is receiving federal financial aid. It may even stall students from getting their federal financial aid because of the chaos at the Department of Education. So that's been my commentary about this. As the executive order comes out in the next couple of days, I will post another video about the actual language of that. But broad strokes, it is unconstitutional and illegal for the executive branch of the federal government to unilaterally terminate executive agencies without a statute being passed or direction from Congress to do that. That's not to say that they won't try and that they haven't been trying, but to the extent that they have that intention or actually trying to terminate these agencies, that would be unlawful. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next one.